Hi, let's get some background content knowledge for teachers on life cycles. Let me share my screen. This is the tab. And we'll go ahead and put this in presentation mode. Let it load. Here we go. So this is the video for teacher content knowledge for life cycles. So life cycles are stages of change that all organisms go through, and they progress through the beginning of life to death, and they go through different stages. They have a beginning, they develop, there's reproduction, an adult stage, and then eventually the organisms die. But there's lots of differences between different types of life cycles. For example, mammals give live births, reptiles lay eggs. Plants have life cycles too, but they don't give live birth or lay eggs. They have seeds. Life cycles are generally beneficial for organisms because it keeps species going, and it makes sure that there's a setup plan so that there are more of that species organisms created and born. They're going through different stages at different times. They have different needs at different stages. So this is what a life cycle is, and that's why it is useful. So in this lesson, we're mostly talking about ladybug life cycles with second graders. And so one helpful comparison can be to compare ladybug life cycles to human life cycles, which is a life cycle that students will be most familiar with because they are humans. So let me switch this slide. There we go. So we've got humans on the left, ladybugs on the right. Humans give live birth after fertilization through sexual intercourse that creates an embryo that implants in the uterus and develops there for about 9 months. The baby is then born into infancy, where it mostly drinks milk, totally relies on the parents, the adults. And then as it grows into childhood and then adolescence, where it becomes able to reproduce, and then into adulthood, where it is fully matured, and then eventually it can reproduce in adulthood, and then it dies at the end of its life after being elderly. Starts to eat solid food around childhood and continues through time. Human bodies do not go through metamorphosis. It's the same body you have when you're born. There's just lots of growing and changing that happens, as you can see in the image diagram. Ladybugs, however, have a really different life cycle. Insects generally go through one of two different types of life cycles. The first one's the one that ladybugs go through. They go from egg to larva to pupa to adult. The other one is only 3 stages. It goes from egg to nymph to adult. Ladybugs have some other names: lady beetles, ladybug beetles, ladybird beetles, and their life cycle does include a complete metamorphosis, where the larva goes through a total change in the pupa stage to come out with an adult that has an utterly different body than the larva. So let's talk about the stages. First, there is the embryonic stage, and this is when the ladybug is in an egg. The beetles have mated, and then the females lay up to 3,000 eggs in a period of 3 months in the spring and summer. And these eggs hatch within 2 to 10 days, and out come little larvae. The larvae eat aphids, and they have long bodies, bumpy exoskeletons, and stripes or dots on their back. They molt about 4 times during the 2-week larval stage, and then they become pupa, where they attach to a leaf, and histoblast cells within the pupa control a biochemical process where the larva body is broken down and reformed into an adult body. And this happens over about 7 to 15 days, so a week or 2. Then out of the pupa emerges an adult ladybug in the imaginal stage. The ladybugs come out soft and kind of yellow, but become hard and bright red as time passes. They eat soft bugs, hibernate in the winter, and mate in the spring. As you can see, here's the life cycle. Some animals go through really unique life cycles. You'll see here kangaroos and cicadas. Kangaroos are unusual because their embryos don't develop in an egg or in the uterus, but in the pouch because they're marsupials. A different animal, a type of mite, is super strange. Pregnant mites have lots of female offspring and 1 male offspring inside, and the female offspring actually become pregnant within the pregnant mother and then emerge as the mother dies because they eat her pregnant. So that's super weird. Would not share that with kids, but really interesting. Female seahorses lay eggs into the males, who then fertilize and carry the eggs until the males give live birth, which is unique. These cicadas, as pictured on the screen, are called 17-year cicadas, and they live, the whole species lives underground for 17 years before emerging all at once to live for a couple weeks, and then the next generation disappears back underground for 17 years. So that's super strange. Last unique life cycle I want to highlight are monotremes like platypus. They're mammals, but they actually lay eggs, which is super interesting. So it's clear that there's lots of differences between species and types of life cycles. Finally, the other major type of organism, plants, they're also living things and have life cycles, but it's really different. They don't have eggs or birth, they have seeds. They do have a beginning, reproduction, adulthood, and death, but it looks really different. So you can see on this slide, we have the plant life cycle. Seeds, the seeds germinate, which means they start to sprout, and then they use the environmental factors to grow. They grow stems and roots, and then leaves and flowers, and these flowers are pollinated and then produce fruit and seeds, which then starts a cycle again. So this keeps these kind of organisms alive too. I also want to just review some necessary vocab for this unit. We talked about what a life cycle is. An adult is a fully developed organism. The egg is the beginning stage of life for many organisms. The embryo attached to the egg's life cycle in different types of organisms. The organism starts growing and developing. The larva is the caterpillar worm stage for some insects. Mammals give live birth and then feed babies with their own milk. And metamorphosis, like we talked about, is a total change, and then pupa is in the insect life stage between larvae and adults. So those are the things I wanted to highlight, and that is what you need to know for teacher content knowledge.